Here's an outrageous self-defense case that could put a good guy in jeopardy. Tom Grieve, we're going to talk to you about this, but first, we have a gun giveaway going on. It's happening right now. It's absolutely free, but it ends really soon. So click the link in the description down below to find out which brand new gun you could win. Tom, I'm putting on the old guy glasses for this one so I get it just right. This is a brother-in-law story from Reddit. Hi all, my brother-in-law is facing felonious assault with a deadly weapon charge for removing, I'm assuming drawing, his legally permitted weapon, Michigan concealed pistol license, to deter 4 men from accosting him. He was a tow truck driver on call 24/7 in rural Michigan and was actually advised to get his pistol license due to the job. There's a few other descriptions here we'll pass over, but he had no previous legal issues. In August, he went on a tow call, found 4 men there who became upset about the cost of the towing, and he felt threatened because it was 4-on-1. He pulled out his pistol, pointed it at the ground, told them he had a legal concealed pistol license. They were pissed and called the police, saying he waved it at them. He was arrested. And they are claiming that they were so upset, one of them went to the local hospital with heart palpitations. My brother-in-law was assigned a public defender, as they have no money. And then the question goes on here, what is the use of a concealed carry permit if you can't use it when it's a 4-on-1 situation? Every attorney I've called wants $10,000 retainer, hence I say be good to join the USCCA. My brother-in-law is no threat, never used the weapon, didn't fire it, and is getting railroaded by these 4 guys. Any advice? Thanks all. There's a lot going on here, and a lot of things we've already talked about before. Call 911, things like that. And at what point do you really draw your weapon? So, where would you begin?
First off, my lack of surprise. My lack of surprise about, frankly, most of what you just said in there, namely that the tow truck driver pulled out his firearm. Sounds like he never pointed at any of them, but they're all claiming that he did.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
It's going to happen.
That's what happens every bleeping time. Every time.
There's nothing in here about this, and maybe I'm casting aspersions or something like that, but the guy went to tow a vehicle, and they were upset about the cost of the tow, and they got angry. It doesn't say violent, it just says angry, but to the point where this guy was fearing for his safety.
Right. I mean, I'm imagining it's going to cost what? How much? Yeah. What do you know? Yeah. That's kind of what I have in my head, right? And they're kind of all closing on him, and it's getting closer, and maybe he's still hooking up, the car or the vehicle that he's towing, so he can't really go anywhere. I mean, if it's me, I'm probably on the spot saying, look guys, let me see if there's something I can do to get this price lower for you. Let me go to the truck, let me make a call. Yeah. And that's my hopefully like pop smoke, get into the cab, lock the doors.
Yeah, and call 911.
And call 911, right. Yeah. I mean, so that's what I would do. But in fairness to this guy, who I'm not picking on because he's in a very difficult situation, and he made what I think a lot of people would say is an entirely reasonable call. Depending upon the specific nature of what the 4 guys are saying, what threats are they uttering, all that kind of stuff. It could be a 100% legal call as well. The simple fact, though, is that it's 4-on-1 in 2 places, in the street and in the courtroom.
Yes.
I know that's not fair, but this is exactly how these things play out. Exactly how these play out.
I think this speaks really well to what you said, is having a plan on what you might do if something, He's a tow truck driver. He's probably been in this situation before where people were unhappy with him. Think of your plan. I love that idea. Get in the truck, lock the doors, call 911. Yeah, I'm making a call. We'll see if we can solve this. And then if somebody smashes in the window, you get a much better case of pulling out your gun.
That's a different situation at that point, right? Because in essence, what we've done is when we've secured ourselves to any degree in a vehicle, and we've locked the doors, we've raised the windows, we've created a bright line test of, is this person going to be a threat against me? They start smashing down windows, I think that's a very different situation.
It's what we call a clue.
A clue, yes. Just the unfortunate fact, The foreseeable trap that this gentleman finds himself in is the fact that this is what happens every time. And it's not fair, it's not the way it ought to be, but I'm 0% surprised about the fact that he produces a firearm, doesn't point it at anyone, and I can't tell you how many cases we've had like this, self-defense cases, where people never fired a shot, they simply produced a firearm, and call goes out, this guy's pointing guns at people.
Yeah.
It's, let me work this from a different angle for you. I don't know if I've ever seen a case, not like online or something like that, but you know, in my office, in court, stuff like that. I'm not sure I've ever seen a case where they don't say that, that you're pointing a firearm at someone.
Yeah, for no reason.
For no reason. Yeah, you just pull out a gun, he's just pointing at me. Exactly. So I'm sure those cases exist, don't get me wrong. At any point, you know, so between all the different wings of our firm, because we've got a criminal law wing that they just kind of do criminal law, and we've got different wings, we're pushing about 30 attorneys these days. We have at any point in time probably between about, give or take, 4 to 15 defensive gun use cases. So not exactly my first time in this rodeo. I actually have a tremendous amount of data points accumulated over 10 plus years at my own firm. Then you include previous practice, experience, ex-state prosecutor, and so forth. I don't think I've ever seen a case, and maybe I haven't, I'm forgetting it, but I don't think I've ever seen a case where firearms at ground, but everybody says, yeah, it was at the ground.
Yeah.
That's not what happens at all.
No. And so in this case, the brother-in-law needs to start making his case, making his statements to his public defender that he reasonably felt endangered. That, you know, 4-on-1, this public defender needs to be talking about the potential disaster that could happen if 4 guys start beating on 1 guy. And who knows, did they have access to impact weapons or anything like that?
And let me just also take a moment right now to speak up for public defenders. There's a spectrum of attorneys out there who you will see in criminal court, okay? The worst public defenders, the people who are genuinely bad, because there's always bad apples everywhere, right?
Yep.
They rarely, if ever, last, okay? They pretty much cycle in and out, okay? And that's not me being critical of the public defender's office. That's any company, any position, you're gonna get bad, you're gonna make bad hires, is just what it boils down to. By and large, by the time a public defender's been in practice for a couple years, if you just picked a random criminal defense attorney on a docket somewhere in court in the United States, I'd bet that the odds are that on the whole, the public defenders will be better than the non-public defenders.
Okay.
That isn't to say that every public defender is going to be better than every private bar defense attorney, but most so-called criminal defense attorneys in the private bar, they're generalists at best. And I don't mean the jack of all trades. Think like the 4 of all trades.
Okay.
You know, they're doing 10 different practices of law. They're doing criminal law. They're doing slip and fall, car accidents, dog bites, immigration, landlord-tenant, employment law. They're doing, you know, they're making wills. They're doing anything and everything that they need to do to keep the lights on. And maybe in any given year, they only handle a small fraction of cases of actual criminal defense cases. They don't have a tremendous amount of resources. They're certainly not pouring time and attention and training, and they may not have an extensive professional network within the field of criminal law to reach out to. So, you know, I tell people on the phone sometimes when they call and they're like, yeah, I've got a public defender and I want to get, you know, off this, and they don't really have a lot of money. After all, they qualify for a public defender, and you know, a couple minutes into the phone call, I kind of get the gist of like, okay, well, I know where this is going. They don't have enough money to hire anyone reputable. I'll just tell them straight up, look, I see who you have for a public defender. Like, this is a really solid attorney. Don't just go out and hire someone for the sake of hiring someone. So bringing that back to this particular case, I'm not saying don't hire a private bar attorney. I'm not saying quit your job so you'll be able to get a public defender. What I am saying is that if you don't qualify for public defenders, most of the criminal defense attorneys out there in the private sector are probably going to be aspiring to mediocrity, unfortunately.
Okay.
Which means you're really, really, really going to have to do your research to figure out who are the good ones, because for every good one, there's probably 5 or more bad ones.
And looking this over based on the scenario that we were given here, a competent defense attorney could raise, I mean, serious questions about the 4-on-1, maybe time of day, location, where these guys drink, and any of the other information that we don't have just on this scenario. And yeah, that being vastly outnumbered is a reason sometimes to pull out your gun. He didn't use it, but if it diffused the situation and he didn't get hurt, I like that. I like that idea. But he also should have been the one who called the cops right away.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, I get it. You're surrounded by 4 guys who are yelling at you, and Lord knows if they have access to weapons and all that kind of stuff. Now's not the time to necessarily say, you know, hang on, guys, let me call 911. Your voices are getting a little loud and close, right? Yep. But I think that's where you tell a quick white lie.
Yeah. Hey, I got to go call my manager and see what he has to say.
Yeah, I agree, guys. This is crazy. Let me go call my manager, right? And something to diffuse and withdraw.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks again, Tom. Really enjoy the insight. Wonderful to talk with you always. And we're going to try to look for some more of these because there's some pretty good scenarios bouncing around out there. Folks, thank you for watching all the way to the end. And we'll remind you that gun giveaway is still going on, but it does end really soon. So click the link in the description down below to find out which brand new gun you could win.